Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rockwell podcast, episode 19. Episode 19. We have a very special guest in the building. She's a casting director. Her name is, I hope pronounce the last name right, is Danielle Eskinazi. Is that correct?
Eskinazi, that's close enough.
Eskinazi.
She said
Okay.
close enough.
You should hear some of the other names pronounced pretty scary, but that was good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you for joining us this morning.
What are some of the names that people like try and pronounce your name as? Like, what is it? What
Oh
is
my
what have you
God.
got?
Well, the Nazi thing at the end is pretty
Oh,
scary.
it's
And I'm like, but I'm Jewish. So that's a little hard to explain. But actually, Ashkenazi is when it first started. And then over the years, it went to Ashkenazi to Eskenazi. It's basically a Jewish branch in Israel.
Okay.
So you're either an Ashkenazi or you're Mizrahi or you're a Sephardic Jew, which comes from Spain.
Okay.
And I'm an Egyptian Jew. I was born in Egypt.
Really? I was about to ask you if you were born in Israel, but
Yeah, no, I was born in Egypt, in Cairo.
wow. And how long were you there before you came over to the States?
I was 4, and then we moved to Paris to get exiled to come to America because we were, under the thumb of some not very nice guy. So we escaped, basically, and then came to America. Landed the free. Kind of. Not now, but yeah, kind of then.
No.
So yeah, so here I am.
Okay. And explain to me this story. She starts in Cairo.
I started.
Oh, I know what I want to do. I'm going to California. I'm going to be a casting director and I'm going to be stuck in my house.
At 4? No. Yeah, we went from Egypt to Paris to New York. I grew up in the Bronx. And then from the Bronx, my dad worked for MGM and he was transferred to LA. And I was in the retail business for a really long time. I was a buyer.
Okay.
And then I was so sick of it. I couldn't tell one more woman, that dress looks fabulous on you.
And when she
So I asked a friend of mine who was working at a really big agency. She was an agent. And I said, I want to get into the business. What can I do? I have no idea. So she said, no, you have a kind of a good personality. Why don't you try casting? Okay. So I was like, okay. I had no idea what it was. And so she got me my first gig. And it was one of the biggest upcoming casting directors we've had, which was Risa Brayman and Billy Hopkins, who did all of the Oliver Stone films and Quentin Tarantino. I mean, they were just coming out. And she said, okay, well, you got the job. And I'm like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. And she's like, go to this office. And they were casting actually a couple of films. They were in New York and they needed a West Coast casting assistant to run the LA side of it.
Okay.
And so it was a film called At Close Range with Sean Penn and Christopher Walken and a myriad of incredible people. And James Foley was directing it, and I was basically organizing auditions for him and sort of helping him read. So I walked into my office, and there was a guy sitting on the floor, and he was on the phone, and I was like, oh. And he said, do you mind if I just use your office for a second? And I said, absolutely. It was Sean Penn. And that was my first experience as a casting assistant. I was like, oh my God. And he was talking to Madonna because she was doing the music for At Close Range at the time. So I was like, this is where I want to be. This is good. So yeah, after that, I was working with them. And then I worked with Amanda Mackey, who did League of Their Own. And I worked with Vicki Thomas, who cast a million things. And Ronnie Eskel, who I think did a lot of the Quentin Tarantino films. And then Disney offered me a film called Night Train to Kathmandu. And I found Mila Jovovich. She was 13 years old at the time, and we sent her to Nepal to do this film. And then I just went on and I did films for about 10 years. And this commercial casting production company called me and said, you know, we're looking for a theatrical casting director to cast some of our commercials for A Different Eye. And I was like, doors open, I'm walking through it. And never returned. I just love doing commercials. So here I am. Thank you, everybody. Done.
That's absolutely
yeah.
true. I like how you button that with "Thank you, everybody." I think we've been getting a lot of messages and comments that have been, how do you succeed and what to do and here are the steps and, you know, like different things from our guests that we've had on the show, because just like yourself being a casting director, we've had filmmakers, we've had hypnotists, personal trainers, I mean, a litany of different guests. And the one thing that you just, normally people save it for the end, but you say, thank you, everybody. And I want to ask you, why say thank you? I mean, I think we all know, but I would love to hear your take.
For listening. My big spiel.
Yeah.
It might be boring to some people. I don't know. So I thank them for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking. But I wanted to ask, like, how did you transition from like working for that casting agent to starting and like your own and like founding your own? How do you go about doing that?
That's a really good question. And honestly, I can't remember how it all happened, but I met this man who was the head of a production company, and we hit it off really, really well. And he was doing this film, Night Train to Kathmandu. And then I did a couple of other films with him. And it's actually just through meeting people, you know, and them kind of jiving with you and then, you know, of course you have a resume and you talk about who you worked for, who are your mentors. And Lee Daniels was actually one of my mentors too. He was a manager at the time, and he helped me through a lot of steps, teaching me the business. And a lot of it is basically, you know, talking to people and resumes and getting offers and reading scripts. And back in the day, there was a lot of stuff going on. So they were always looking for a new eye, basically. So I was sort of the young, new casting director in town. And, you know, your name gets around.
That quickly, yeah.
And like, so your name gets around. So when you start your own, is there any apprehension from these other companies? Like, oh, can she do it on her own? I'm used to her working for this company.
No, because, you know, you're so passionate about what you're doing and you love what you're doing. There's never a lack of confidence. And if you have that lack of confidence, people smell it. So you have to go in and just, you know, go in there with passion and say, let's do this. This is awesome. Great script. I'm very excited about it. And, you know, everybody's on board and you create this family of finding the right people and making this art. So that's what I continue to do, because I finally, you know, when you find your niche, that's all you think about, you know. It wasn't the money, it wasn't the fame, it was the work for me. And I think people sense that.
I see. And how did you, like, you mentioned Lee Daniels, and how did that relationship start?
He was a manager at the time, and I think at the time he was with Billy. They were together, and so he was trying to get his people in, and he would call me, and we would just start talking, and we became really, really friendly. And he was such a nice guy. And I would be honest, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, this is what you do. And he would just kind of check on me every once in a while. It was just really nice. It was a nice little relationship. I don't even know if he remembers me now, because this was like, you know, 20 years ago. But he really put a staple in my life that really meant a lot to me.
Wow.
That's good.
And that's why I want to do it for other people as well. That's why I'm always out there on Twitter, and I'm, you know, I do classes, and it's not just casting for me, but it's diving into another dimension.
And like, it's more fulfilling that way, right? You get a lot of fulfillment. And
Yeah.
And what you mentioned, like he may not remember, which may be a good or bad thing, because it's good to help as many people you can, where maybe you don't remember every single like person, and I'm sure he would remember, but yeah, and like it shows how it may not seem like a lot to them, but the amount of impact it has on your life is
Absolutely.
yeah, it's very
Absolutely. And it was such
important.
a big impact on my life that I thought, this guy who is representing these amazing people, is sitting down to talk to me for 10-15 minutes. That's amazing,
Yeah.
and I wanted to bring that to other people as well, because it does impact,
Mhm.
and it means a lot, and it makes them have more fortitude to keep on going, because this business is just so hard.
Yeah, and I understand that. I have a question, and this may be for our audience who may not as in tuned or knowledgeable about the industry. Um, so when you guys do your casting, are you particularly in the room, or do you have people who work for you in the room? Um,
What happens is, my office is right outside the audition room, and I have
mhm,
monitors,
I see.
and I watch
Oh,
everything that goes on, everything.
I
oh,
And
see.
just so I could, because sometimes I do 2 or 3 projects at the same time. So I
Hmm.
can't be in the room in the beginning. But what I do is, for the first 3 auditions is I talk to my camera director, and we go over everything, and I watch, and then he parrots me throughout the whole thing. And if I see something I don't like, I'll go right in and go, all right, let's do that again.
I
oh, you'll
see.
walk in like just like during the audition and say, hey, I think we need this done again,
Yep.
or
I bust right in. I don't care.
That's scary.
wow, that's
Open that door and
expect
I
the
tell them to leave.
unexpected.
Yeah.
um,
And listen, they really are grateful that I do that I'm watching and I'm correcting them. Because the link that I send out to the directors and the ad agencies and the producers has my name on it.
yeah,
So I'm not going to send out anything that's going to be half-ass. Can
Mhm.
I say half-ass? I can
yeah.
say
Of course, we've said a lot worse on the show, but
half-ass.
yeah.
I know,
um,
right? That's a
I
mile.
also want to know, like, and this is maybe sound like basic questions, but it's good for our audience, because sometimes people talk as if we know things and we just never gain the information after years. So, like, the process is like whoever's doing the show, they hire you, right? Your company as the casting, and they tell you what they're looking for, or do you contribute to what they should be looking for, or
That's a
how does that
good
work?
question, because they give me boards, and
Mhm.
the producer and the director and the ad agency have a whole discussion, and the director actually gives them a treatment of the commercial, and the ad agency has 3 treatments from 3 different directors, and it's who they see the vision that's closest to them.
Oh,
So after the director gets the job, he hires me. I get on the phone with the director and the ad agency, and they tell me what they're looking for, basically. Um, I put that breakdown together and I send it out to all the agents. They submit to me, and I start picking.
I have.
What I like to do is, like, if they're looking, like, we're looking for, blondes with blue eyes who could do this.
Mhm.
I pepper in the people that I think could actually do it too, that don't exactly look as their vision. And then, sometimes they change their mind and they're like, oh, that's an interesting way to go.
Is that like expected from your job description, like your job description, or is that something you just like? Do they expect when they hire a casting director? Do they expect for them to do like most of the work? Meaning, like, okay, yeah, give us some names, or is that just something you do just to if you
Well,
truly
they
feel?
need to see auditions, so I don't just give them names, because in
Uh-huh.
commercials, we also have to see if anybody has any conflicts. So
Okay.
if they've done a Ford commercial, they can't do Toyota commercial.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that's a
Yeah.
conflict.
Do you remember?
So the agents send me their submissions, and I go through LA Casting, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of submissions. And then I put out a schedule, and that's how I audition them.
And I have one more question, real quick. Oh, sorry about that. So like anybody looking to get into casting direct, like to become a casting director, like how much knowledge of the acting field should they have? Do they need to become experts at the craft of acting, or?
It's not just knowledge, because in commercials, you get new people all the time. You don't know
Yeah.
half of these people. You
Uh-huh.
trust the agent that they're going to submit someone that could do what you're asking them to do. So it's not about just knowledge of actors, because all these actors in commercials are unknown.
That's true.
So it's basically a vibe that you have with them in order for them to trust you. Because these are $1 million commercials and they're not going to give it to just anybody. You have to build up a reputation. And it takes a long time to do that. I was an assistant for 4.5 years before I got my own thing going, for anybody to trust me with their money, basically. So it's not just, there's no school for it.
Yeah, there you go. There's no school for it.
I went to casting school and I got my degree. It's just it's a matter of personality. It's a matter of passion. It's a matter of doing everything you can to find that person, and so on.
Gotcha. Andy, you had a question, right?
Yeah, I have so many I can't even remember what they were.
Go ahead, man.
But so when you get a project, do you have people in mind just off bat that that you love, that you're thinking, oh, this is perfect for them right away?
Of course, yeah. I have my little list of people that I know that would be perfect for it. Right. I do a lot of comedy spots. So if I'm doing a comedy spots, I know that there's a group of improv guys or girls that can totally do it. Who could bring the comedy and make me look good.
Awesome.
I trust that they can come in and do that.
And then what about like your usual day as far as casting goes, because you're running sessions and everything, and I've always wondered this, it must be pretty brutal at the end of the day when you have to go through thousands,
well, I don't see thousands of people, because the day, I'll see, if it's dialogue, I'll see like a person every 7 minutes, and then we have a lunch break, and then we end at about 5 o'clock. So I see about 45 to up to 60 people in a day. Okay. If it's a family situation, I'll see way more than that.
I'm thinking submission wise.
Oh, submission wise, yeah.
All the submissions for all the different roles. What's that?
I go through them pretty quick. I don't look at resumes, because a lot of the commercials are just vignettes, and it's like you walking across a room.
Right.
I mean, there's no dialogue. If it's dialogue, then I'll maybe look at your website, and I'll tell you, every actor should have a website. It's really, really important, especially if you're going to be on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Have your website on your little thing. What's it called? Your
info box.
Yeah, right there. And just so if I'm talking to you and I'm interested to see like a reel or your headshots, I'll just click it. And I've cast people through Twitter.
Right.
So is a lot of it based off of looks, like, just to get to the bare, is like a lot of it, and not especially good looks or not, but if your look matches what the vibe of the commercial is. Okay.
Yeah, and it's really important, because a lot of people also have headshots on their little JPEGs when they get submitted. Some people have like 12 pictures. By the 12th picture, it's like, I don't know what you look like.
Yeah.
Just give me your best 4. You know what I mean? I don't need to see the punk or, you on the phone. I don't need to see all that. Just give me your 4 or 5 best different looks.
That's cool. That's so cool to see it from your side, Danielle. And like, I think a lot of people don't look at this, and we're all in wonder of our questions, just because it's like we've had so many things come up. But what was the transition for you that like you really noticed? Is I would love to hear like who you are as a casting director. What was the biggest challenge that you faced when you went from assistant to going your full casting director? I'm handling people's money, because you had already started out with so many stars. I think that's what we're forgetting here. Like, you had met Sean Penn. You had already, Mila Jovovich.
That movie is a big
that's
movie,
what
right?
gave me the confidence, and also trusting the agents. Like Mila Jovovich, when she came to me, she was 13 years old. Yeah. She was maybe done a couple of things, but no one knew her. Okay. They sent me a picture of her, and there was something about her that it was like, whoa. this kid is going to do something. And it's a feeling and an instinct that you have, that you just have to go with it, And believe me, I saw tons and tons and tons of people her age. And for some reason, it just like popped. And once I put her on tape to show Disney, because, they really have a big hand in it, with the director loved her, and said, this girl is special. We want her. And the part was actually for a 17-year-old, but she was like 5'9". She was like very mature looking. And she had to have this sort of love affair with this Indian boy. His name was Eddie Castrodad. I can't believe I remember that. But
shout out to Indians out there. I'm Indian as well.
Are you? Yeah. And he was amazing. He was on Broadway and has done a lot of things. So when the agents pitch to you, some of them are great and some of them are like, no, that's not going to work. But if your instincts are there, and with casting director, instincts are really, really important. You just have to go with it. And, and once I saw her, I was like, she's going to be cast.
Okay.
And I do that a lot, which is interesting over the years. It's like, they're going to get it.
Have you ever felt like, oh my God, I shouldn't have cast that person. My life is ruined. Like, have you ever had like an experience?
Yes. Well, what happened was, this was a biggest nightmare. And I'm not going to mention names or the commercial.
Okay.
But there was this pharmaceutical product that you had to be 65 and over to use it.
I think we can all assume what that is.
It's for medical reasons.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Viagra.
Okay.
Anyway, you had to be 65, and you had to be 65. You couldn't be under 65. So I put it out there, and I'm like, everybody has to be 65. You have to be 65 because it's a pharmaceutical thing, and it's okayed by the FDA, but the age is really, really important. And it was with, I can't remember her name. It was with a big singer. Anyway, so and they had to sing. So we went through a lot of people. They found this one woman who's an incredible singer. She was non-union. And I said to the agent, she's 65. Yep, she's actually 67. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So I brought her in for callbacks. They all loved her. They shot the commercial. It was like a $2 million commercial. And she was on stage and they finished, and the producers and the directors were all in one bunch saying, God, this was so great. And, we found this great person. And then she said on the microphone on stage, hey, thank you so much, you guys. I'm only 63, but I'm glad this worked out.
Wow.
And everybody went, gulp. And of course, I got the first call. Luckily, I had her on tape saying that she was over 65.
I see.
So they had to go through the FDA. They had to go through all these different things in order, because we shot it. It was done. It was wrapped. So her agent got in a lot of trouble. And she said, my agent told me to tell you that. I'm like, dude, no.
So everybody out there, young Hollywood, I guess what you're saying is don't lie about this, because a lot more problems could occur than you expect.
Yeah, and it does. It does cause a lot of trouble if you lie. Just be honest.
Yeah.
That's all.
And then how did you like recover from like situations like that? Maybe that one was they ended up blaming the agent, but in your field, when a mistake occurs or something happens, something goes wrong, it seems like the end of the world because it affects so many people. How do you mentally deal with? Well,
I get on board with finding out exactly what happened. So I don't take the victim role.
Okay.
I take the role with, let's find what the fuck happened here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll call the agent and we'll have a conversation, and then I'll tell the producers, and the producers will get mad at them, not at me, because I followed all the rules, so they lied, and that was unfortunate for them.
If that goes down,
honestly, will I trust that agent again?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
Sure.
Actors, make sure that you have a real good, legitimate agent that you know, will represent you correctly.
So I got a question for you. What am I still muted? All right. What would help you, like from agent to actors, for people submitting? What is tips or ideas that would help you better? You follow me here?
Yeah, you mean regarding skills and stuff like that? To be honest,
In general, for you, what would make your job easier, I guess?
to look like your picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm looking at a headshot and it's like 30 years ago and you walk in and you're like 45 and it costs for a 28-year-old, it's just not going to work. And I'll tell you that in the lobby. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, look at the people around you. Do you look like them? Would you feel comfortable going in there? Yeah, just keep on your headshots. That's the most important thing. If you're a guy and you have a beard and I see your picture of having a beard, I call you in looking like you have a beard. Don't come in shaved, because that's going to throw me off. You know,
would you say 4 pictures is like because people always send a lot of pictures or they don't send too little? Would you say 4? It just depends for the role, but how many pictures like average? I know it's a basic question, but it's questions that are never really answered.
Like five pictures, you know, just, you know, one in like, you know, a hoodie, you know, one in like if you're a guy, a tie and a jacket, you know, just casual pictures that, you know, you don't have to, if you were a fireman in a prior life, you know, and you have that outfit, that's awesome. Because if I'm looking for a fireman and you have that costume, bring it on. Yeah. That's great. It makes the ad agency go, oh, I could see that. You know,
I always tell them to read a role.
Yeah, dressing the part is really important as well. If you're coming in as a doctor or a nurse, if you're a nurse, don't wear different colors. Just come in white and you know, as close to that character as possible, just so they can envision you playing that role.
Okay. And I wanted to bring this up because you seem
Alexander, can you turn up your mic just a tiny bit?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now it's better.
Okay. So I noticed like over our conversation, I can tell you're kind of one of these people that is very outspoken, and you're not afraid to tell talent, whoever, you know, what you're kind of about. And that's how we are here on the show. And so I know it's sometimes gotten us into trouble. Have you ever been in a situation where you're casting or you see an ad agent make a decision, or your colleague make a decision, anybody in your frame of business make a decision, and you weren't accepting of it, and you voiced your opinion and it got you into trouble somehow?
No, because that's not how you would play the game. Because if they have a vision and the director has a vision, the only thing that I would do in that situation is if an actor was trouble. If I find out later an actor was trouble and make waves on the set, and I find out later that before he even goes into callbacks, then I would definitely say, this is what I know. You proceed however you want to proceed. But I need to tell you that first and give you that warning. Because I've gotten calls on set saying this actor is impossible to work with.
Why did you pick
him? So, you know, if they have a vision of what they like, I'm not going to go against that vision. That's their project. You know, they're paying me to deliver. So that's what I have to do.
So going forward, with the way the industry is right now, and all famous question, how do you foresee things moving forward, since it'll be a lot of self-tapes, and especially in commercials when it wasn't self-taped so much before?
I mean, I'm hoping in the next 3 months, it will go back to auditioning in a studio. In the meantime, yes, there are a lot of self-tapes. The problem with commercials is that, you know, self-taping is great, but you still have to shoot it, you know, and where are you going to shoot it? And you're going to have to be 6 feet apart and get a zoom lens and maybe shoot at their home. You know, it's got to be up and running completely. And I'm hoping that will happen in the next 2 or 3 months. How I'm going to direct my lobby is going to be different. I'm not going to have a crowded lobby. I'm going to still have people wear masks, and my lobby is going to be much smaller than it was before. You know, instead of like seeing a person every 7 minutes, I'll see them every 10 or 12 minutes, just so it doesn't get crowded and we can get them in and get them out.
So, how do I present this? So people more on the ball, getting coaching, really on it, taking care of business. This is what you're really going to look for, rather than giving a lot more opportunity to other people. Am I conveying this correctly? I think that would help the job going forward.
Yeah, I mean, you should always absolutely have, you know, a background in whatever, you know, improv is really, really important.
Right.
I think everybody should take improv.
I was going to say that. I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why, too, it makes you think on your feet. Because once you get in there, if we think that you're great for another part, we're going to go, here you go. Do this, go outside 5 minutes, cold read, let's go back in, let's do it. So it's going to, you know, and the director's going to want to redirect you about 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And you have to come up with different stuff every time. And improv really helps you do that.
And how often does that occur as well, with you guys not seeing that person for that role, but you guys are a company, obviously, so you guys have multiple projects. How often does that occur? Because I know, and that's why I want to tell young Hollywood, like, just because you think you're not right for a role, still go and do that audition, because they may have something in mind for you. I remember my first thing I ever auditioned for was Glee, which I'm totally not for. But then I ended up getting like a background role in Argo, and this is when I was really new to acting. And I didn't even want to go do the audition for Glee because I thought I was going to make my manager look bad at the time. But, you know, things happen, you know. So, like, does that happen often where there's maybe they're not right for that, but you have so many things you guys are casting that, okay, we have something else that's good for you?
Yeah, because they sometimes, like, they'll give me a callback list of the people they want. And let's say we saw him for a bartender, but they like him more as a dad. So they'll switch him. And so we'll bring him back as a dad, and we'll say to them, we know you came in as a bartender, but here's the dialogue for the dad. They want to see you as that. You know,
Okay.
actors aren't going to go, but I was a bartender. I don't understand. You know, you just go for it. You know, try to get as much work as you possibly can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you balance, I'm not sure about your personal life, but do you have a family or like, and I'm not trying to get too, anything you don't want to answer, but how do you balance like the personal life, family with this? It seems like a casting director's job is kind of like 24/7 because you guys are going through so many things. Like it's a lot of work. So is it difficult to balance for you?
You know, I've been doing it for 25 years. I have now a 5-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you know, he's got a lot of energy. But I also have an ex who lives down the street from me. So we go back and forth with him, which is fantastic. So I have him every other day and weekends and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's 24/7. When I come home, producers are still calling me. Mm-hmm. It's not over, you know. Yeah. It's a round the clock job, and you always have to be available. And I have a really great assistant that is right there with me, who picks up a lot of the grunt work that I don't, you know, so she does all the contracts and all the other stuff that I don't have to do. So I could just do the art and be really creative. But you know, you just figure it out. You figure it out because this is your passion. This is what you love to do.
And do you hold any workshops or things like that for actors? Anything that workshops?
Yeah, I do classes. I do tons of classes. I did a Zoom Q&A with everybody on Twitter, which was over 150 people, which was awesome. And I'm trying to put together a self-tape class right now on Zoom because a lot of people do it wrong. And that shit that's like, oh no, you know. The mic is like, if they're reading with someone, the mic's on the person that they're reading with. It's just so bad. And then they send it out and they pray, you know. So, so I'm trying to put together, I haven't figured it out yet because all this self-tape stuff is new, you know. So I want to try to put together a class to do a self-tape of what's, you know, the lighting, mic, dialogue, how, if you look into the camera, do you look right over the camera, you know, all that stuff, what you wear, that's all really important now. Because I want them, when they send out the tape, they're like, I feel good about it, you know.
That'd be an excellent class.
Yeah.
No more beds in the background and dirty laundry on the floor.
Cleaning the bathroom, flushing
A lot of people
toilet.
just don't know. They think they're doing a great. They may not even be praying. They may send it out like, "Oh, I'm going to get this. I nailed that," and they have no idea.
And you're like, but it's dark. Where are you? You know.
And
so,
it's better to get it in quick.
yeah, and you know what? The kit is a small kit. It's not a big thing. You do it on your iPhone. You get one strobe light, and you get a good mic, and that's basically it. Because now they do that with voiceover. Everybody who does voiceover auditions, they have their own little studio at home. And some people like have it in their closet because the sound is better, you know. So I want to try to do that with self-tape as well.
And it's better to get the self-tapes in as fast as you can and as efficient as you can, correct?
Yeah, and make it look really, really good, you know.
Right.
Just to represent yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be like, okay, I get it, you know.
And they end up casting some of those roles a little bit faster as well, right? As soon as they get
absolutely. Yeah, you want to get it out there.
You were speaking earlier about like helping others, and I just want to just get to the spirit, because I feel like in Hollywood a lot of times, especially, they think jobs like a casting director or agents or managers or this and that, just behind the scenes jobs that are people in power, we sometimes tend to
get intimidated, right?
Yeah, and we unhumanize them. We're like, oh, they're robots. We're intimidated. They don't have feelings. So like, how do you? What kind of?
Well, I've been trying to take that stigma out for a very long time, because I've been telling people on Twitter for the past 5-6 years, we're all in this together. Because if we don't have you actors, we don't have jobs. So why put that line between an actor and a casting director? Make it more human, and you'll be more comfortable going in front of the camera knowing that we're rooting for you, as opposed to, you know, turning up our nose and you never knowing walking out of there if it was good or bad. You know, we're always saying, good job, that was great, you know, and we mean it, you know, and if it's not a good job, then we'll correct it, you know. So it's just taking out that stigma of casting director and actor. You know, we're human just like you guys, and we want it, you know, we want the best for you.
So what about promos and stuff? You know, people like to send mailings and emails, but you probably have so many emails. How are you with mailings or postcards and that sort of stuff?
Postcards for me don't work, only because you'll look at it and you'll go, okay, and in the trash kind of goes, because it's just a piece of paper.
Right.
So if you're on Twitter with me, and we're talking, and you say, you know, I'm in a play next week, and it's going to be at this theater, I'll retweet it to my 60,000 followers. Oh, nice. You know, that's the best way to do it. The only thing, you know, there's ways of being on Twitter without asking for things. Like when people start asking me like, hey, can I be in one of your commercials? I'm like, okay, you know, no, that's not how you do it. You just create a human contact with someone and let them get to know you as a human being, as opposed to, I could help you. You know, I'm a casting director, you're an actor. Then it just starts becoming a little pathetic.
Yes.
And I don't want to look at you that way. I want to look at you as an equal. You know, like, hey, Danielle, how was your day? Great. How was your day? Great. Oh, look at my dog. You know, just normal talk, you know, and that's how I get to know, that's how you would get to know people at a party. You know, you're not going to say like, what can you do for me? That's a little bit of a turnoff.
Let me ask you that. Like, you just mentioned parties. Like, I want to really heap on that, because a lot of actors and people in arts as well, when they go to LA, either they go to too many parties where they're not even being productive through these parties, or they stay at home, they work on the craft, they beat the craft so hard, but they don't know anybody they can share their craft with. Do you think these parties are important for people to network, and how do you go about networking in your industry?
Showcases. You go to you do showcases, you take improv classes, you take regular classes, you take any kind of classes to be around your colleagues, because they're the ones that know what is happening out there in the world. Like, oh, you know what? You'd be perfect for this part I just read for. You know, that's how you do it. I mean, going to parties, I don't know, that's kind of 80s, 90s to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, drink like, hey, how's it going? You know, but if you just keep on your rhythm of improving yourself as an actor, that's what you do. You go, you take classes, you know. That's, I think, the best bet. I mean, yeah, go have a party.
That answered it well, because a lot of, like you said earlier, when people are coming at you and they're asking you for things, I think it really reflects on their lack of self-awareness more than anything. They just, because they're not as around many people as they should be, they have no idea how they're coming off as needy and desperate. They have no idea. Like it is their fault for not training themselves to be like that, but they're not doing it intentionally. So yeah, maybe party's not the answer. They go to like improv shows. Like you said, I think every actor should lead off with improv. I'm not no expert in acting, so I can't really speak for that, but I don't want to sound like condescending. But it seems
you're
like
an actor, and you know what will work for you and what doesn't work, and that's important, because you know yourself, you know your capabilities, you know what you could do. You know, being too cocky isn't good. You know, being too shy isn't good. You just have to breathe that confidence when you walk into a room of, you know, just being kind, being on time, knowing your dialogue. You know, it's just going in like you're going to, you know, an interview, just any interview. You know, you just you be prepared. That's all. It's, you know, demystifying what an actor and a casting director, what kind of relationship they have. We both work together to create something, and that's art, you know, and we're all artists.
And I want to apologize to you first and foremost for my hair being terrible, and I keep adjusting it.
I think your hair is so pretty. I love it.
Thank you, but I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm disrespecting.
No, you look great.
I should get it ready in time.
It's Andy's hair I was having a problem with.
Trying to see if it'll grow back. You know how long it's been since I had my hair?
Oh, man.
And it never came back. I was like, well, since I'm sitting around for a couple months, let's see what happens.
But yeah, we should always come prepared. This morning, I was like, well, my hair's not doing it. I need to figure out how to hide it.
Fine. You're adorable, Ro.
I fade it to black with the background, maybe enhance it.
I'm kidding, Andy.
I do want to ask this. I love an underdog story. I think.
Turn mic up a little bit.
Yeah. So I love an underdog story. Like I firmly believe I'm an underdog story, and I have all friends who are underdogs. Like it's something to be a part of, something about that Rocky origin type of deal. Have you ever seen, because I would hate for an actor to come on to watch this episode or watch some of your content who went in, let's say years ago, to audition for you for whatever, and they came in, maybe they just weren't having the greatest of day, or maybe you had given them a note or whatever it may have been, and it just totally shut them down. Have you ever seen an actor come in one time and years later, maybe over the time of building that human relationship that you were talking about earlier, you saw them get better and you were...
Yeah, I love that. Okay. That's my favorite thing in the whole world, when they come in years before and they're green, but they think they know it all. Mm-hmm. And then I don't put them in their place, but I tell them what they need to work on. And if they're open to that and they do it, and then years later they come back, or even 6 months later, they come back and they're, you know, taking it more seriously and doing the things that they shouldn't do. I love that. You know, that was my dog. Oh. I give people those chances. My door is always open. You know, if you're cocky and an asshole and you're going to come in to audition for me, it's not going to work.
Door
It's
closes.
not going to work. The vibe is going to be bad. The way you enter a room, the way you leave a room, it's just going to be bad. So you want to leave those things at the door. You know, you're there for 12 minutes at the most, you know, and just make it the best that you can. And then just leave it alone. That's it. You're done. Go on to the next one. Because if you feel like you've done a bad job or you did something wrong and you take it to the next audition, that's what you're going to bring, you know? So make every audition an individual expression. You're done with that. Go on to the next thing. You're done. That's it.
Do you ever watch the kind of the waiting room? You know, just like how people convey.
Always. I'm walking around that waiting room like I'm like the hostess of a party. I'm like, hey, how's it going? You know, I just want to connect with people. You know, that's kind of my thing. I'll be wearing a mask, and a hazmat suit, but but I just definitely want to connect with people and make them feel a little bit more comfortable. Say hi to them, you know. And then they go on Twitter and they're like, I just saw Danielle. She just said hi to me. And I'm like, yeah, you know, but they want to take a picture or whatever. It's like, who cares? We're all human. We're all there to have fun. You know, if you don't make it a comfortable lobby and you make it intense, when they get into that room, it's going to be intense, you know?
So is Twitter your go-to? It sounds like you really Twitter the most.
Yeah, that's how I connect with all my actors. And they really do appreciate it. And I appreciate it that they appreciate it. So it's a nice little following that I have.
And here I thought Facebook, I was so special. Now I'm going to have to go to Twitter.
Yeah, Facebook is like, oh, look at my kid. You know,
yeah, that's
like,
what
oh, he's so cute.
Anymore.
But you could actually have conversations with people on Twitter. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I said I think I want to do a self-tape class on Twitter, it went viral. Like no one offered that. No other person offered that to them. They're like, oh my God, I just sent out a self-tape and I don't know how it went. I don't know if I got the lighting right. You know, it's like if I could help them in that way, it's going to help me too, you know? So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so like actors constantly are thinking they're being tested. Like they can't even ask about how to film a self-tape because they think the casting person is gonna be like, yo, you should know
judge
how.
them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody's
I don't want
always
that.
on edge. Oh man, I should figure this out. But yeah, people are willing to, because like you said, and the better the actor looks, the better you look, right? Because you're the one bringing them into the audition.
Yeah, we work hand in hand, definitely. Yeah.
Well, prior to our situation, everybody kind of just half-assed self-taping. Now it's basically you have to get with it and do this 100%, but nobody knows how to because they've been caught off guard. That's where you come in with your self-tape class, which is an amazing idea.
When's the next time you're going to have a self-tape class? What date and where can they find that?
I'm going to put it on Twitter.
Okay,
I'll put it on Twitter. I think what I'm going to do is a general Q&A first, and then if they want to sign up for a class, that's like a separate thing. I'm just trying to figure it out how to do it now because I really want to get because I want to see what they have. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that without me working 12 hours a day. You know what I mean?
This too. This is a good question.
I'm loving this vacation, but
yeah. Let me ask you this. Why not always do self-tapes? Because I feel like actors get judged off their nervousness in like a 60-second period or 2-minute period.
With the director?
Yeah. And do you think in the future going forward, this whole experience will maybe go towards doing more self-tapes even after this is all done? Because if the actor gets a few more takes at it, I don't know, does that help them?
You know, this is the thing. The director likes to redirect you in front of the ad agency.
I see.
And when you're doing a self-tape, unless you're on Skype, I guess, and you're actually talking to them, my dogs are going to bark because they see a squirrel. Sorry. Stop. When they see, when they're in the room directing you, they feel like they have more control of the situation. And that makes you look better when the director is giving you direct instructions of what to do. Self-tape is an actor thinking that this is the right way to do it. You know what I mean? And then the director's like, no, that's not what I wanted. You
That
know,
makes sense. That answered it perfectly because I always
yeah,
wondered that. Yeah, thank
yeah.
you.
I mean, theatrically, absolutely. Broadway, they'll sing their songs in a self tape, and then they'll call them in.
Mhm.
But commercially, it's just a little different. It's a little off
I see.
with that.
Alex, anything else you want to add on to that? Or
Yeah, Danielle, I I would love to see, like, because I'm sure you sell yourself just like actors do to ad agents, and like why you would be the perfect casting director versus another one. What is like your sales pitch, or like what is how do you sell yourself when trying to get a project, if you're still doing that, or if it's
Good
just
question.
yeah.
I send out my reel all the time.
Okay.
I did a Super Bowl spot with Martin Scorsese. I've
that's big.
done spots with Amy Schumer. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
Ah.
My dog trips out all the time. My dog thinks I'm talking to him the whole time. Oh, that's
You
cute.
see
Danielle,
so my reel kind of speaks for me. After 25 years of casting, they'll trust me more with what I've done in my life. One of my commercials won an Emmy Award. That's on my resume. So it's just a matter of getting what they like, and they know that I would do that for them, and I would go to the ends of the earth to do it. I work really, really hard when I get a spot to cast. And I guess my name now is out there, just like other names are out there as well. And and personality is a lot of it as well. The director, does he get along with you? Do you guys have the same vision? Stop.
what if somebody wants to get hold of your reel and your information to pitch you and send it out to big clientele?
Yeah, it's daniellecasting.com, and that's my reel right there. And it also is going to have, I usually have classes up there, but since we're not doing classes physically, I'm starting to do them on Zoom as well. So there's a calendar, and my reel is up there, and all the directors I've worked for, and all the commercials I cast.
Awesome.
And can I ask you, I know you only got a little bit of time left, but I wanted to ask you, because I'm hearing also, even with the self-tapes, that even in general, like everything is getting shut down. Is that true? Because I'm not in the loop as much as I would like to be. Is that, because that's what people are telling me, that even the self-tapes are shutting down because, like you said, how are you going to shoot it? And usually
Right.
you guys like to cast it and shoot
Well,
right away.
what I'm hearing now, a friend of mine is a theatrical agent. So what I'm hearing now is they're trying to get as many self-tapes for their projects that are going to be shooting in September or October. Theatrically, that usually happens because they have a schedule that they have to go by. Commercially, everything is like now, so we can't really get that now until the earth opens up again, but
Yeah.
theatrically, and I know networks are calling agents and going, give us your best 5 people, this is what we're looking for, and give us self-tape so we could start the motion going.
Two
So with the
questions.
money being lost right now, sorry, this is my last question. Like with the money being like lost right now, it's something I know everybody's interested. Like, is there insurance companies set up in place to handle situations like this, like a natural disaster?
Yeah, because you mean for casting directors, or
Yeah, because I know your business is probably, every business in Hollywood is losing money. I just want to know how you guys are.
There's a thing called the SBL, which is a small business loan, and for the arts, and I guess for anybody, and they give a $10,000 grant that you don't have to pay back.
Oh, I'm glad I asked that question, because people
Yeah.
are always wondering, like, how is it going to survive? How is this industry going to survive? Even Bollywood, like that's the multi-billion-dollar industry.
Oh my God, it's huge.
In India, it's even worse than over in America. I just talked to my grandma yesterday, and they're literally against the law to leave the house. So
Really?
like that, yeah. It's
We should do it here. I'm telling you. I went to a restaurant the other day to pick up food because I guess that a DoorDash or Uber Eats were delivering, and there were like 4 people without masks, and I was getting so mad.
Yeah,
And I was like, "What is wrong with you guys?"
Yeah.
China did it in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know?
And
So
we were making fun of them as Americans.
I know.
And
Yeah.
then look at us now. Yeah.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
We're like, ah. So anyway, yeah. So, I'm hoping in the next 2 months, maybe 3, Trump wants to do it next week, which I don't think is a good idea. But, being in this entertainment business is a lot of interaction, closed sets, all this stuff is just, and I asked people on Twitter, what would you be comfortable with? And they said testing in the beginning. And I said, what if we gave you a 14-day quarantine before you even got on a set? And they were saying, as long as we got paid for it, which makes sense. 14 days at home, you get paid for it. Then you shoot the commercial in a very small, close set. Bring your own lunch. Don't have catering. Test the stylist. It's going to be a whole different thing just getting out of the gate. And then as soon as the numbers really go down, it's going to be back to normal.
So do you think right now with all these self-tapes they're doing, my vision on that is they're trying to accumulate everything they can so that when the gates are open, that we can move again, that they will start casting from all those self-tapes and basically just fill in the roles and start shooting before anything ever happens again, hopefully not.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. So let's just stay home, get our masks, and do our job, especially in California. I heard we're doing really well.
We are doing really well.
Numbers are going down. Yeah.
I'm proud of that for some reason. I don't know why.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
You want to get back to work, man, stay home.
Yeah.
What are you doing on your vacation?
It's really sad just because there's so many people and it's such a close quarter.
Yeah.
They're just dumping bodies in the Bronx, with no names on the caskets because they just drop in the street. It's just so sad.
And it's something that we've been criticized for a lot before. We should, deservingly so, but like we move in cars. We're not as active. We don't walk around as much as New Yorkers do. So they're used to
Exactly. Yeah. And our insurance rates are going down because of that. You get 15% back on your.
Yeah, a lot of insurance.
Isn't that cool?
Thank God. That's
yeah,
amazing.
I just think it's so cool.
Insurance went down.
I got to get to my meeting, my loves.
No problem.
But it was such a pleasure to talk to you guys. Are you guys all actors?
Yes.
You are.
No, Andy's not.
I'm a manager.
Yeah, well, Andy, you're a manager. That's great.
But I'm a photographer, manager.
Oh, cool.
Artist.
And now, Alexander, you're an actor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm an actor and musician.
And Ro, you're an actor, yeah.
Yeah, actor
Cool.
musician. Yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll see you in my studio.
I would love that. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing it. You were great today, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I love your hair, Ro.
Thank you. I was all subconscious about it, but no.
Danielle, do you have any? We always like to part off on a very, very high note for all of our viewers that are looking to our episodes for some kind of motivation, some kind of thing to do during this time.
Say it again. I'm sorry. Your mic is really low. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. It's something to do that's motivating for them. What's something that's keeping you up and like keeping your mind, quote unquote, right while we're going through this right now?
And you can make it short because I know you have to leave.
Yeah,
so.
Exercise is really, really important. I just started doing yoga. I mean, I was like, what? I have never done that before. And I'm doing like yoga 101 and it's hilarious because I can't move any part of my body, but now I'm feeling better. And it kind of opens up your chest a little bit because, their anxiety creeps in no matter what. It's like, what are we going to do? And taking walks, just breathing and knowing we're all in this together. I know people say that all the time, but you're not the only one going through this. We're all doing it. Read books. I haven't read a book in like 30 years. And I just picked up a book the other day and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm actually like turning a page. So that's kind of cool. And just, being with family and your animals and just kind of, it's the foundation of where we left off years ago. We don't have that anymore. You know, it's bringing us together a little bit. And I hope that continues in the future. You know, it's really humbled me. I could tell you that right now. And I think it's humbled a lot of people.
Okay.
Like the 70s all over again.
Man, you know, I was really young though. I don't remember. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's really cloudy. I can't-
But yeah, we appreciate you. I know you have something to do. I don't want to make you late for that. And so
Thanks, bro.
thank you so much.
I hope
And
to see you guys really soon again. Okay, I'll see you guys on Twitter.
yes, I'll
Yeah.
definitely
Yes.
follow you on Twitter, and I'll
Talk to me,
I
yeah.
will watch all the workshops. And thank you for
Yeah,
spreading.
and then when this is all over, let's all grab a beer.
Perfect. That sounds great.
All right.
All right.
Great meeting.
Love you guys. Take care, man.
Love you too.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You still there?
I'm right here.
Mhm.